Okay, we're on to turn 2. And looking at the board here, the first thing we're going to have to do is work through the weather sequence. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll a single die. We're going to look at the weather die roll table here. A 1 will mean that it doesn't move at all. A 2 to 4 means this marker is going to move by 1 space. If I roll 5 or 6, it's going to move by 2 spaces. So we're going to go ahead and hit that. We really want a 5 or 6 for the Germans. The Allies would just like to roll 1. Uh-oh. Alright, so the weather, it's going to stay clear, but it's going to be in the favor of the Germans here, because they're going to have their air support marker. Alright, now we're going to look at the available naval units and air units. There's no available air units for the Allies, so we're going to keep those on their flipped side. They were both used in the previous turn, but both of the naval support units are going to be available, so the destroyers will still be able to do fire support and whatnot. I imagine there's some light cruisers in there. I just usually call them destroyers. Anyways, supply points. Both sides are going to, well, no, Germans are going to get more than the Allies. Allies are going to get 1 point. So they're going to go from 0 to 1, and the Germans are going to go from 3 to 5. And that is because of the 2 marker there. So that was not a favorable weather result for the Allies. And then on the following turn, then, if the Germans roll 1, it would stay there. We repeat that. Otherwise, this will keep moving to the right. Eventually, it will loop around to the starting box again. So that was not a result that the Allies really wanted to see happen there. Go ahead and advance the weather here, or the phase marker from weather to initial phase. We're going to place our reinforcements, use replacements, and flip the ASUs with supply. ASUs being the artillery something units. How about we call them that? So we're going to go ahead and take one of our supply points and flip the 16th Panzer artillery. So Germans got down to 4 supply points. The next thing we're going to do, place our reinforcements, and I've already kind of done that. Got a bunch of boys that are going to come off the north here. We'll just spread them out to look at them. Some units from the Hermann Goering, and 1 of the 15th Panzer Grenadiers. So kind of have to decide what we're going to do with those. I'd kind of like to take the Hermann Goering and attack this lone Ranger battalion, drive him off, create a wedge to get down into this location, join in on an attack on Salerno down the road. That might be useful. The position of the 2 battalions here is worrisome. I don't want them breaking out here and cutting that road. That hex here is a really important one because it would project the ZOC into these hexes, meaning that this route would not be accessible to reinforcements coming in. They'd have to use this route, which would take them maybe a little bit longer. I haven't fully analyzed the road networks just yet. Down in the south, we have a group from the 29th Panzer Grenadiers, 2 infantry battalions, the artillery, and corps artillery for 76 Panzer, as well as one of these variable strength garrison, almost useless but not quite useless units. These guys are useful in that they can form a ZOC bond, but you got a 50-50 chance that they won't fight at all. So, you know, user discretion is advised. So I'm going to have to decide what to do with those guys. Because of the excellent road route, we can get, with extended movement, these guys into that, as far as that hex there. Our objectives for the turn, our goals, I should say, for the turn, for the Germans would be, in an ideal world, I'd like to make the Allies retreat from the town. That's, however, unlikely because don't have a whole lot of artillery to support such an attack. Having said that, Flieger Corps 10 is going to be useful. That's another column shift. But I could also use that defensively, so maybe let them break their jaw on one of these attacks or something rather than try to force the issue. The thing is, as long as that marker is there, if they get another partial success, it would be a delay, and it would force the Germans out of that town, and that would be unfortunate. So I really don't want that to happen. Holding on to that town, it can be a real bottleneck for the Allies on the Commonwealth beachhead. But it also means that there's going to be a German presence in proximity to the airfield, which diminishes the capability of the Allied air power. As long as this is true, and you got a unit within 3 hexes of the airfield, then Flieger Corps 10 is available when you get this weather result. If you don't have German units in proximity to that airfield, then even if you land on here, you don't get the German air unit. At least it's not available to you that turn. So those are some of the challenges facing us as the Germans. We do have some disrupted guys here. I love having that hex, but it's just probably an untenable location for the Germans, so I think I'm going to go ahead and bring him back. What to do with the 29th Panzer Grenadiers? Do I bring them up into this sector here? Do I bring them down here to threaten the flank? I need to re-examine the rules. I know that at a certain point, the 5th Army cannot enter 8th Army's sector. I don't know if that applies before 8th Army is on the scene or not. If it does apply before 8th Army comes on the scene, then there's no reason to bring any Germans into this area here, because there's no way for the Allies to use this route to come around behind and outflank the main line of resistance, which should run in a V shape here. So I need to re-examine the rules to check that out. But my thinking process is I'd probably send everybody here and begin bringing these guys back down and out to concentrate the Panzer Division. I really wish I could get the recon unit down into the main area of resistance, but for now, he needs to keep the commandos stuck there at Salerno until some heavier units can arrive. Now, I could bring Hermann Goering's units down to deal with that, so that's another thing I'm thinking about. So that is the situation facing the Germans on the turn. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here while I execute all those movements and double check rules and make sure I actually get things right. It's always a struggle, but these are the choices that this game throws at you. There's like so many different options, and it feels like every game where I've set it up and played it, it's been just a little bit different, and that I think is a good thing. There's one more aspect to this game I'd like to say, and that is when I'm playing as the German side, I feel like I'm losing. And then when you come around to the Allied side, it's like, dang, I feel like I'm losing. And on the one hand, you feel like, wait a minute, no matter which side I'm playing, I feel like I'm losing this game. I feel like the other side is winning. That, to me, as a developer, is a sign of a very well-balanced game. So take that for what it's worth. But that's something, when I'm developing a game, that's something I kind of aim for, because that gives me a good sign that the game is pretty tightly wound. So here we go. Salerno 43, turn 2. It's going to be an important turn, because what we do with these units is going to drive a lot of the strategy in the turns ahead.